Hey, NBA 2K MyGM fans. Coach 2K back with another NBA 2K MyGM series video. And we are following the career of Gus Rollins as he is a GM in the NBA. And his first season was in the last video where he made the playoffs with the team, and he's hoping to build upon that success of last season to see if he can get deeper into the playoffs and bring a championship to the Memphis Grizzlies. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Coach 2K. I love to talk about my league and my GM. Be sure and subscribe while you're here. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this idea for the series. And also check out my expansion series, which I think I got close to 60 episodes. In that series, I actually play the games, every single one on 12-minute quarters. We're just kind of simming through, and I think one of the things I think people might like about this series is just the transactions, the moves, building a team, which it takes a long time to get to that point when you're actually playing all the games. So while that's fun, I think this will be enjoyable too, as we kind of look and see what's going on. We're looking at Ben Parker. He's the owner of the Grizzlies. He's satisfied with what we're doing. Looks like our job security is rated 91. So overall, I think Ben is pretty satisfied with what we've been doing. So, first thing we usually do is meet with Ben and see what he wants to do. And so he's got some goals for us that he usually sets out at the beginning of the season. The first is to keep team morale over 60. I think that's something that we can probably do. It's not something I know we can do for sure. So I probably won't promise him that we can do that just because I don't like to promise things I can't deliver on for sure. So usually in that case, I always just say might accomplish. The other thing he wants us to do is to sell out all of our home games this year, which I think will be tough, and keep team chemistry good. And in both those cases, we say we might be able to do that. And I think he wanted us to make the playoffs, and I think we can maybe accomplish that too, and just to keep our promises to players. I think next time I'll take a little more time, a little longer screenshots on those. Now our financials are in lousy shape. I mean, we're over the luxury tax. We're not making any money. I think the first move we got to do is to get out of the luxury tax situation so we're sharing in the NBA revenue. As a small market team, especially since we're not winning a championship with this roster, I think that's important. So the first thing we did to kind of sell out is we lowered the prices for the tickets because, we just want to make sure it's a good value to get fans in the arena. And so we adjusted, the prices for the tickets primarily. And I think we might have raised the concessions, raised the parking at the same time to hopefully offset anything we might lose on tickets. Overall, owner was happy about that. We'll see how it plays out. Biggest move of the last offseason was Byron Dantley went from the Pacers to the Denver Nuggets, signed him a nice contract there. Pacers will probably go downhill and probably see the Nuggets playing a little bit better as we see what his impact is. Now, during the year, we did battle some injuries. Purvis Jones, right off the bat, I think he was injured for 2 to 4 weeks with a broken nose. To kind of keep the fans in, we had to run promotions throughout the year. I think we had 8 promotion points, and so we did that several times to keep fans coming in, and overall that was pretty successful. And we did end up keeping all of the selling out all the home games for the year. And during the first part of the season, we got to the trade deadline. We didn't really see anything that we felt like we could do. I mean, we're over the cap. It's difficult to make any moves unless we want to get rid of one of our top key players, and I wasn't sure we wanted to do that. So you can see, all these guys were happy. Not all of them, but the ones that, I looked at, some of them, were like, hey, I don't want to make a move. I want to re-sign with the team that I am on. So when the trade deadline came around, we just decided to sit tight and not take any action and just stay with the roster that we had. And, I think once you see what happens, I think it wasn't a bad idea. We did see that Freeman Beasley came in, and he was kind of concerned we might trade for somebody at the small forwards slot, and we told him we would not do that. And so we were looking at trading his backup, not him, and I think he took it personally. And we really couldn't find anybody for him, for his backup that we wanted. So Trade deadline came and went. We made some points with Beasley. At the All-Star break, we were 33 and 27, I think, or 32 and 27. So we were above 500, but we were just outside the playoffs. See the Nuggets right there in front of us. So Danley's got some work to do. The All-Star team, Freeman Beasley, two-time All-Star now. He made the All-Star starting lineup for Team Danielle. And, you know, that's pretty good for the franchise. And Team Danielle ended up, I can't tell, looks like they won. So I think he won last year too. Rooks was the leading scorer for Team Sean, and Henderson was the leading scorer for Team Danielle. And Beasley himself, last year he was the leading scorer in the All-Star game. He only had 5 or 6 points this year with 5 or 6 rebounds. But great to get an All-Star nod for him. Last year we had 2 All-Stars. This year we only have 1. At the contract extension deadline, you know, all our guys are here. These are just minimum contracts, so we didn't really focus a lot on re-signing anybody. And so we just kind of let the contract extension deadline pass. End of the season, we ended up 14 games above 500, 48 and 34. We won our last 12, so we were hot, peaking at the right time. So that was exciting going into the playoffs. As you can see, Sean Rooks, he was the most valuable player. I think he won it the year before. Always a stat guy. And Jordan Skinner was Rookie of the Year. You can see averaged almost 10 points a game. Ismail Crowder was the 6th man of the year, 13 points off the bench for the Wizards. And Joe Bishop was the Defensive Player of the Year, 10 points a game. Congrats to Joe Bishop. And most improved player, Hollis Temple. We looked at him as somebody we might want to pick up. He's getting 17 points, 7 boards a game. Looks like a pretty good player. Herb Black was Coach of the Year for the T-Wolves. They went 64 and 18. Pretty good record. Won over 60 games. Good job. And the Executive Year was Cody Toole of the Nets. They went 62 and 20, also winning 60 games. And Freeman Beasley here, he was the All-NBA first team. So that was fantastic. So in addition to an All-Star nod, he made an All-NBA team. And I was happy to see that, doing pretty good. But in the last game of the year, Orlando Dedman, he got hurt, broke his right thigh, going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So right before we thought we'd do well in the playoffs, he got hurt. And we're looking at the financials at the end of the season. You can see here we still lost about $68 million. And so we hope to improve upon that in the next season by adding some playoff revenue, of course. Here at the end of the season. I thought you might like to see the jerseys. Dantley's the #1 jersey seller, and Beasley sold about 1.2 million jerseys over the course of the year. So that's a good source of revenue. Be nice if we could get a few more in there. For the playoffs, we decided to raise ticket prices, kind of generate a little bit more revenue and souvenirs and food at the concessions. So trying to get more familiar with all the things that we need to manage as we move throughout the season, and also kind of figure out how to kind of keep you guys up to date on it in these series videos to see what so you can see what's going on. If you're running your MyGMs, you can kind of get some ideas from what I'm doing. And let me know in the comments if you got anything that I'm not showing that you think I ought to put in the videos here. And, I'll try and do that for you. But we wanted to raise the prices in the playoffs because these are your hardcore fans. Once we got them in there, we want to try and raise the average revenue per fan. But we got in. We faced the Lakers this year. We did win a playoff game, so we didn't get swept. We got eliminated 3-1. You can see Hot Rod Dupree scored 27. Ienga 22 and 11. Lloyd had 19. Beasley played pretty well. He had 29. Jones with 28, 6 and 10. But it wasn't enough as we got beat in game 1. Game 2, Ienga led them with looks like 18 and 11. Hot Rod Dupree didn't score as many, 13 and 13. But they killed us in game 2. I mean, we didn't even score 80 points, 106 to 73. So we snuck it up in game 2. In game 3, we made a game of it. Beasley had 30 this time. Jones with 18. And Chaney, my young power forward, the rebounding guy, he had 10. So I'm looking for big things for him as we lost game 3. And we wanted to try and avoid getting swept. Dupree there in game 3 had 29. Wolf had 20. So the owner met with us too, and he's like, hey, don't get swept. So we said we might accomplish that, and we were able to win game 4. And Beasley came through with 38. Pretty good game for him. Jones with 21. Sabalas with 14. So we were happy to get our first playoff win. And Dupree had another 28 and 13 as in game 4 in game 4, yeah, that's the one that we won. And we move on to game 5 here. And in game 5, they would pound us again back in LA. And it was 124 to 88. Dupree with another good game. Looks like he had 38 there. Barnes had 24. And then Beasley had 19 and Barlow 17. So, but we got a little farther this year. You know, we're trying to get a higher seed so we can get into, maybe get into that second round. In the finals, the Clippers and the Nets would face off in the finals. See, the Lakers got beat by the Clippers there in the conference finals. And the Clippers would go on to win the title. Last year, the Lakers won it. This year, the Clippers did. So LA is owning the finals here as Xavier Jameson. Not too impressive of stats, but he ended up being the MVP of the finals as the Clippers, I think, win their first championship ever. So afterwards, we met with the owner, and he's got some things he wanted to talk to us about. He wants to win a dang title, and I do too. He says he's willing to spend whatever it takes. I told him I might accomplish that. Being over the cap, we don't have a lot of flexibility here. You know, he's ready to open up his wallet, but the wallet's already been emptied. And then he also has another favor he wants us to ask, and that's to get rid of Von Lanier. So we told him we would do that, and so we did get rid of Von Lanier. And he didn't want to hear anything about him, kind of like the last episode where he wanted to get rid of the guy. You can see here the Hawks have the first pick in the draft lottery. We don't pick until 18. We're not going to improve picking that far down in the draft. So, but I'm not a tanker. We're a small market team, so we can't really tank. We need people to come, to the games. We met with the coach. The coach said he wanted us to get Deontay Brown, and I didn't really feel like I wanted another small forward behind Beasley. And we didn't really feel like with the lineup that we got that we're going to make any headway. So we didn't agree to do that. Now, the top 5 picks in the draft, Tremaine Wilkins was a 7'1" center from Ohio State, 250 pounds. Dante Hicks went number 2, 6'3" guard from point guard from Duke. He went number 2. And they seemed to like that pick for the Thunder. At the number 3 slot, the Pacers, Marjan Mikic, if that's how you'd say that. Guy with a lot of potential, 6'7", shooting guard from Slovenia. At the number 4 slot, Donnell Cannon, 7'1", come directly out of high school to get into the draft. Not a bad prospect there. Patrick Higgins to round out the top 5, 6'11" center, 220 from Iowa. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you the top 5 picks there. Of course, we didn't pick to 18. So we weren't sure what we wanted to do, but we decided to go bold here. We had a lot of trade offers for our pick, and we looked at them and decided not to opt to take any of them. We did decide to make a trade, though, and we opted to trade for the Atlanta Hawks, their number 1 pick, and we had to trade 3 number 1s to get the guy. So we took a big risk here, traded Dedmon, who was our center, and 3 picks to get the number 1 pick in the draft, a 7'1" center. And so that's who we want to build our franchise around. And we want to build it with defense. And then the second round, we got Ted Conley because we need a point guard. I don't know that he's going to be it, but he's from Temple. And they're a pretty good 3-point shooter. So we ended up taking his player option. But we did not take Barlow, who was at our center spot. Barlow complained all the time. He's 32 years old. We decided to decline his option, his team option. And so we renounced his rights and got rid of him. And then we needed to get rid of Von Lanier, and we found another sucker team in the league to give us a first-round pick for that. Not very realistic, I don't think, but maybe it is. So anyway, then we started looking around free agency, and we had Bryce Kidd come in and talk to us, and we offered him a contract. He seemed like a pretty good fit for our team. I like Bryce Kidd a lot. He's a pretty good power forward. He said he would take a look at what we had to offer and let us know in a few days. And we're hoping that he joins the team. So I think he'll add a lot to the team. I think he fits in with the system. He did agree to sign, and we did renounce the rights to a player, another power forward we had, Steven Burke. So we could make room for Bryce Kidd there. Then we picked up a point guard, Tyrese Nixon, 72 rated overall. We're kind of, we don't have a lot of money to spend. So we like the fact he was a defensive stopper. He's from Notre Dame, 6'2", a little undersized. I like my point guards to be 6'4", but not always easy to find them. We decided to keep Thomas Sabalas, mainly because of his championship DNA, his veteran leadership. He actually played pretty well last year. I should have put the stats in here, but I didn't do that. So anyway, we kept him. And then Ted Conley, who we drafted in the second round, rounds up our depth chart at point guard. So we got 3 point guards. And, I don't expect a lot out of Conley. At the shooting guard spot, we got Freeman Beasley now. Obviously he's an all-NBA player. We're paying him $33 million a year. He needs help, but I don't think him alone that he'll get the job done without much more help. As you hear the phone ringing there, I can't stop it. And then we picked up a 3-point shooter, Marco Pacchiani, shooting guard. That's another team on the line trying to make a trade with us. That's what that was. Reese Winslow, another shooting guard, 6'7", 70 rated overall. So that rounds out our depth at shooting guard. And then we got Purvis Jones, injured a couple times last year and in the first season too. Pretty good small forward, getting up there in age though. I think we're going to have to look at getting rid of him because I don't think the changes we made this year are going to get us much further, and I'm not sure it's worth spending that money. And then to round out our depth at small forward, we got Lonnie Hendricks, 6'9", small forward. Oh, we got Jonathan Myers. Jonathan Myers was the other small forward that we've got. He ended the season hurt. Couldn't trade him, couldn't do anything with him. I'd like to get rid of him. He's a good defender, but not much on the offensive side. Pretty athletic player. Power forward, we got Bryce Kidd. We need probably an 80 rated player up at this slot, but this is the best we could do with the financial restrictions. But he's a good player. I think he'll really play well for us. We got JoJo Sampson, who I think we got in the trade to get the first round pick. And he's a 6'8" power forward, pretty good rebounder, good defensive stopper. Anxious to see, between him and Zay Chaney. Chaney also excellent rebounder. We're focusing on rebounding and defense kind of down low, and I think Zay Chaney is pretty good. So we'll see between them who comes out on top at power forward. And of course, who we're betting the franchise on, Tremaine Wilkins, the 7'1", 19-year-old from Ohio State. We gave it 3 draft picks for him, first-round draft picks. I don't know, but we needed to do something because I don't think it was going to work otherwise. We're not going to win a championship with the current lineup. And then we picked up Dedan Adebayo, another center from Jamaica, 6'10", another rim protector, good defender, good rebounder. And then we always like Raif Ruiz. He's a good, solid backup. And seems like we're all battling some injuries all the time at the power forward and center spots, so I think he'll come in handy. So we wound up, after all of our moves, we're under the luxury tax threshold. We're still over the cap. We don't have any room to move there. but we do have the luxury tax situation under control, so we should not have to pay that next year. And also, we're in a situation where maybe we can clean up the financials and get some revenue sharing. And hopefully we'll be in a profit next year. All right, so after 2 seasons, Gus Rollins added another accomplishment. He has now got 2 playoff appearances, but the number that matters is that championships. And we don't have any of those yet, so we have to keep working to see if we can get a championship here in Memphis as we move on to the next season. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. What do you think of Gus Rollins' moves? We made a lot of bold moves here. Risky ones for the franchise. We hope they pay out. So I am Coach 2K. I'll see you on the court in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the support.